Belt basketball championships. For those in the room, when asking a question, please remember to identify yourself with your name and media affiliation. For those joining us via Zoom, please remain on mute and type your questions into the chat to be read aloud. We are now joined by Southern Miss, led by head coach Joy Lee-McNelis. Coach, would you please begin with an opening statement and introduce your player?
Yes, I would first like to say, and I've told Kathy Keene this morning as I spoke to her, you know, I've been coaching a long time and I've played in a lot of conferences. You know, mainly when I started out, it was the old Metro Conference, and then I was in the Great Midwest at one time, and then in Conference USA, and so now we're in the Sun Belt. And I would like to applaud the Sun Belt Conference and the city of Pensacola. This has been absolutely amazing. Just the signage from whoever does it. I'm assuming it's joint with our conference, the city of Pensacola, the Sports Authority. I mean, there is signage everywhere. You feel like if you're on the beach side, you feel like you're part of the tournament. I mean, in our locker room, it's Sun Belt Conference Championships on the post in the middle. I've never been a part of any tournament. So Commissioner Gill is in here. I'm going to tell you, it is absolutely awesome. You feel like it is championship city, not just here. And I just applaud that. I had talked to Coach Shanda Rigby, which is a very close friend of mine, before we ever got here. And she and I talked about it, and she said, Joy, you're going to be blown away just about the atmosphere and the signage. She said, you wait till you see the signage. And I said, you know, signage to me is very important. She said, I'm just telling you, you just wait. But it's absolutely amazing of what is presented here in just the championship atmosphere. And I just applaud you all for that. It's just absolutely amazing. Comments about the game. I mean, it was a great night for Texas State. I mean, you have to tip your hat to them. They played extremely well. You know, I have said this multiple times. I do believe that Texas State and JMU are the two most efficient offensive teams in our league. They don't turn the ball over very much. You know, they run their plays. Each player, you know, our characteristics that we write on the board, their players play their characteristics. They both are very well coached teams. Texas State is very much a veteran team. You know, all their players have taken their COVID year. So they have a lot of experience. And you balance out the years of playing with our players and their players, we're like babies. We're still in our cribs compared to them because, you know, I only have one senior, and that's Lauren Gross. And the rest of our team is made up of sophomores and juniors, and our juniors could be COVID sophomores other than Dom and Femi. And, you know, so we're very young. And so today they showed that. They played extremely well. Every time we tried to change a defense or tried to trap a ball screen, or they took advantage of it. They just played with a lot of poise, and you just have to tip your hat to them. I mean, they played very well. We did not play well. You know, we started the first quarter. We turned the ball over 7 times. Normally the third quarter is our quarter. We came out and we missed all of our shots when we started the third quarter. And I personally felt like that you could see it in our players' eyes. We were kind of shell-shocked that happened to us because all year long, the third quarter has been our quarter where we've been able to battle and been able to fight, and we've outscored almost every opponent that we have played. Maybe there's been one opponent all year that we've not dominated the third quarter, and I think with our team, we just didn't handle it. We didn't handle it emotionally at all. And we missed entire goals. I mean, it wasn't like it was the rim that we clanged it off the rim. We missed entire goals. And I just think that emotionally and mentally, we struggled with that. And Texas State took great advantage of every bit of that. With that being said, I know my opening statement's kind of long. With that being said, I'm very proud of the year and the success that our team has had. I think that we've battled a lot. We've overcome a lot because of the injuries that we have had, and they've been crazy injuries. Dom having a ruptured disc, you wouldn't know that today, but we have great doctors that have taken care of her, and we have an awesome trainer, and I think should be Trainer of the Year. I don't know, Commissioner Gill, if you have that honor in the Sun Belt, but I nominate Julie Butler to get that award. She and Dom have become best friends because they spend a whole lot of time together. But she is taking care of Dom. Femi Funes, that did a great job today, I felt like, fighting on the glass. I don't even know how many she had, but she had 11. Oh, my goodness, she had 11 boards, lettuce and rebound, and I know she was there. Femi has rheumatoid arthritis and has really fought through. That's hard for somebody to be able to do that. So we've had weird injuries, not just an ankle, not just a knee or a hamstring. And so our team has really had a lot to overcome because they've not been able to practice. That's what's crazy. And you try to develop team chemistry with your team during practice, and you have two of your best players that can't even practice. They just show up and play. And that's very difficult. So for us to overcome, I'm really proud of this team and what we were able to do. But I'm going to tell you this. Lauren Gross is not the best player on our team. She's not the most talented player on our team. But I'm going to tell you, Lauren Gross is the heart and soul of our team. Lauren Gross is our leader emotionally. She is our leader physically. She is our leader spiritually. Losing Lauren Gross, she came to Southern Miss as a transfer. She has her undergrad from Southern Miss. She has her master's from Southern Miss. And she will complete her PhD from Southern Miss. She may have made, in all of her career, 2 Bs. That is absolutely amazing. She lives leadership every single day. That is going to be one of the biggest losses that we have ever had in our program at Southern Miss because of Lauren Gross and who she is and how she walks and lives her life every single day.
And she's joined by Dominque Davis. Start here in the front.
Talk about the physicality of Texas State's bigs and just how hard it was to just get inside the paint?
They're definitely a tough team. You know, they're physical. They played a physical game, but that's something we pride ourselves on as well, and they just were that much more than – they were hitting more shots than us. I mean, we didn't back down from the physicality. That's something we feed into, and they just knocked way more shots down than we did. But as far as the physical goes, those are the type of games we prepare ourselves for.
You know, Kelsey Jones, which you know that played for us and we were hoping was going to play this year but had some personal issues. They have 3 Kelsey Joneses. They're just bigger than us. You know, we fight for it, but we have Malia Grayson that could compete with them, but that's really, really all we had. We just didn't have anybody to match their body size. We compete because we have practice guys. We have a guy named Pat that competes with us every day, and we fight for that. But they take one out and put another one in.
Yeah, right here.
Charlie, Southern Miss Student Media. You just talking about Lauren. Kind of an emotional moment for her at the end of the game. Just what were y'all telling her in the locker room? Just this being only senior and possibly last game.
I talked to her about how much I loved her and how many sacrifices that she made for our program. I told a quick little story about very early in her career. She had plans on a Saturday afternoon. We had 2 newcomers that came into town that summer, and she totally canceled her plans so that she could go with them to a place called Red Bluff in Columbia just to get to know them and spend time with them. And she's that kind of player, and I thanked her for the sacrifices that she made for this program. And, you know, I challenged the returning players. I said, I hope you've learned and watched and witnessed something for Lauren, because that was not Lauren when she first got here. Lauren was very much an introvert, believe it or not. And we had a lot of conversations with Lauren, And she would get tired of me saying, Lauren, I need you, Lauren, to talk. Lauren, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. You've been raised, I got to have you. And she said, Coach, I'm very uncomfortable. I said, but you can do it, you can do it. And, you know, that's what I told them. I said, y'all that only know Lauren now, you would not believe who Lauren was. And her growth is amazing. And I think our team loves Lauren. Well, I know they do. Our staff loves Lauren. And I just can't even imagine what it would be like with not having Lauren Gross in our program. She is going to be successful in whatever she chooses to do.
Yeah, in the back here.
Coach Austin Lindsay at WDAM. How frustrating was it just to face a team like Texas State 3 times and they just have the number? How frustrating?
You know, they did have our number, Austin. You know, we played them there, and we played them close till overtime. Dom went out in the second quarter, was not able to return in that game. And we felt like when we had them at home, and again, we were close till midway through the fourth quarter, and they took control of that. And I'll be honest with you, Austin, I felt like this was going to be our game. I think our players felt that way too. And we prepared. We made a couple of tweaks that we thought were things that we struggled with. And so it was real disappointing just in our performance of how we were able to miss shots, turn the ball over. You know, one of our focal points was rebounding. One of our goals was to out-rebound them on the offensive glass, and we did that. I think the biggest factor was our turnovers and our missed shots. And I just think that mentally, the missing those shots really kind of just whacked us mentally, and we just could not overcome that. But yes, you're right. They had our number. And again, hats off. They just played really well.
Coach, I know you can't really plan for this, but what do you feel like the outlook is for WNIT bid?
You know, I would hope so. I know the conference has reached out to them. I have reached out to them. I've reached out to Jonna Pointer, myself, and that was a couple of weeks ago, just to kind of put our name out there. I know Jonna, myself personally, and just wanted to kind of make sure that our name was thrown in, just to be considered, just because we were kind of hot and, you know, things were kind of happening for us. And I truly believed that, you know, we had a shot to be able to win a championship. I wanted to be able to obviously get in that championship game as we made a run. And I wanted to make a pitch, and I sent something in to the NIT because, you know, in the past, the Sun Belt has only gotten one team in the NIT. And I think that's not the case this year. It should not happen. And that's what I told Jonna. I said, you know, I know that's the history of the Sun Belt, but, you know, I've been around Jonna a long time. The Sun Belt Conference is not the Sun Belt Conference of old. And I said, I just would appreciate it if you will really read through what I have sent and really explain to the committee that the Sun Belt Conference is worthy of multiple teams to be in the NIT. And I know that maybe our nets may not be as high as maybe what they should be, but go look at the old RPI. Because if you go look at the old RPI and see the WNIT, don't use just the net. The old NIT uses the RPI as well, the WNIT. They use both. And you go look at the RPIs in the Sun Belt, they're a lot higher. And I said, I'm just telling you, you look what's happening down the stretch here. There are lower teams in our league that are beating higher seeds in this league. This league is deserving of 3 or 4 teams being in the NIT. And I said, this is my personal opinion. I think that the WNIT committee will be selling this league short if you do not at least give us a serious look. And I don't know. I just hope that we would be a multi-bid league for the WNIT.
Yeah, in the back here.
Coach, hey, Paul Chestnut, Fox Sports Pensacola Radio. Just 2 questions. Adding to that, what you just said, do you think with all the realignment in the conferences that it will just be a matter of time to get more than one team into NCAA or into the WNIT? And I'm just curious what you said to your team afterwards, as it seems like a very young, close-knit team.
Yeah, we are. We are a very close-knit team. We're a very young team. I think our team has a very special bond. I don't know if you know a whole lot about Southern Miss as a whole, but we're all family. And, not only within our athletic department and with our teams, but Southern Miss as a whole is family. And I think that kind of shares within our athletic programs and within our teams. So we are who we are as Southern Miss. And we're all grinders. They'll tell you, I talk about grinding all the time. Our new our new president came on board and we're talking about grit. We talk about grit and grind all the time. And that kind of bonds people together because you know what? You have tough times. When you have tough times and you survive, you kind of come together through that. But talking about the NCAA, and my husband does a lot of research on all that. He has for years. There's very few teams outside of the Power Five that ever gets an at-large bid in the NCAA. There may be 3 that's considered mid-major that ever gets an at-large bid outside of the Power Five that gets an at-large bid. Maybe 3. And one of them is going to come from the A-10. And that's very unfortunate, but that's just the truth of the matter. And I think our AD's on that committee. But that's just, it is what it is. I don't know, maybe 4 teams has been the most in the history or 5, but it's not going to be. It's just what it is. So that's why I'm an advocate for the NIT. Because I think if you can't get in the NCAA tournament, that's the best thing that's next. And I just think that people like us, like the Sun Belt, like we were in Conference USA, it's the same thing. Let's carry the torch for the WNIT and do everything we got to do to position ourselves. Would we like to be in the NCAA tournament? Sure. When we were originally in Conference USA, when it first started, when I coached in Memphis, we got 5 teams in the NCAA tournament. But that's when DePaul was in it, Louisville, Cincinnati, Marquette, Memphis, we were all in there. And it was a different Conference USA at that point. And some of those teams go to the NCAA tournament, but they're in a different league now. DePaul and Big East, all that has changed. So in my perspective, sometimes for a young team, it is better. You like to say, hey, I went to the NCAA tournament. I get it. We talk about the blue dot. We've talked about it as a team. But personally, I think that if you have a young team, it's better to go and play a game where you have a chance to win a championship. You have a chance to win a championship in the NIT. To go in the NCAA tournament, you may have a big dream and you might win 2 games. But it's really hard to win a championship in the NCAA. That's the realistic side of it. So why not take a Sun Belt team and let's go win the NIT? You get a taste of cutting down a net. You get a taste of winning a championship. And so I just think there's Sun Belt teams that compete for an NIT championship. And I'm just being realistic. I'm not dreaming there.
Last one here.
Yeah, David Mixon, student prince. 39 bench points for Texas State and just 13 for y'all. Maybe just talk about some of the shortcomings in your bench coming off the bench in areas where, such as Laney or Rose would come off and give you some points.
Yeah, they usually, and Rose shot the ball in this tournament extremely well. I mean, she and Lauren yesterday, or day before yesterday, they came in, and together they shot right at 80% from three-point range for us, the 2 of them combined. And they struggled. Lonnie struggled today, in her game, in her flow. She struggled. And you look at their bench, and their bench just came in and just kept giving us a whammy. They just punched us every way they could punch us and was very effective. But, I'm just such a believer in all sports. But I think because basketball is a sport that's this. It's not like football. You get together and you huddle up after every play. Or in baseball, you get a hit. Or golf, you hit it and you walk. Softball, you get a hit. In basketball, it's this. And it's so emotional. All sports are. But you don't, like in volleyball, you get together, good or bad, you huddle, you clap, you stomp, and then you go back and play. In basketball, it's this. And so I think emotionally, when things go south, you don't have a whole lot of time to recoup. You got to go 4 minutes or until there's a foul or a free throw, and you can kind of come together. And I've talked to them about having a defensive leader to be able, when you're struggling defensively, is to turn around and clap and try to rally that. So I think every time they continued to punch us, to beat us down, we just kind of was, again, that much more shell-shocked, and we just could not recover from that. And I just, again, they were the best team tonight. They just were.
Okay, Dom, one here from Zoom. How did you see your leadership as not only a player on the court, but a player off the court grow this year?
That was something we talked about at the end of last year, coming into this year, that my coaches wanted me to do, was just step up and be more vocal for my team. So it's been a up and down struggle, because that's just something I'm learning to accept. So it's something that I just got to continue to accept and work on. Like Coach said, Lauren was great at it, so I had a great leader to look up to, and now I get to try to fill her shoes. That's some big shoes to fill, but every team needs somebody to do it. So I'm glad I just had Lauren to look up to and watch for 2 years.
Okay, final one in the back.
Just recap the season for me and just the injuries that you battled back from, and just going into the future, just based off the hopes of maybe making NIT. Can you just discuss that?
Definitely. This year has definitely been shaky for myself with the back injury and my ruptured disc, but I chose to play. I argued with my coaches every day to play basketball, so we don't use that as an excuse, because I chose to do that. So it was tough, definitely mentally. It was something I just had to push through every day with Julie in our training room, just recovering. Those days I couldn't practice or have contact, and when they would pull me out the games, I don't know if y'all watch close enough, you might see me catch a little attitude with them because I didn't want to stop playing. But, that's just something I had to deal with, to understand that it's life after basketball, and this was a serious, injury. Like she said, we were seeing doctors, and they took really good care of me at Southern Miss. And it was just something that it was new to me, but I had my teammates, my coaches, and our support staff just helping. And as far as moving forward, we hope that we have a bid in the WNIT. Is definitely something we would like to do, especially for Lauren. She gets to put her jersey on one more time or a couple more times. But if it doesn't, then we look on to the next season. We have some really good freshmen coming in, and I know our coaches are going to hit the portal pretty hard and just working on their recruiting. We kind of get mad at them sometimes because they be gone recruiting, and we want them there with us. But I know they're just looking towards our future. But the future is definitely bright. Like Coach said, we're young. A lot of us who did transfer, we probably didn't play at our previous school a lot, but this year, people had to step out of their comfort zone and play roles that they didn't know they had to play, because we thought we had people who were coming, but they didn't. Then we had people who we thought were going to be playing but were hurt. So this year was definitely a learning year, but we did something that hasn't been done in a very long time. And, yes, this game hurts because we're all competitors, but we're still proud of what we could do for our city, So it hurts, but to the top.
Hey, I would like to say this with Dom sitting here. I told the official this when it got really rough in the game. I said, that first half was really rough. I said, and they called the foul on Rose when they called that hooking, and they said it was getting a little rough. And I said, it is. I said, but I'm going to tell you, she's the biggest sissy I have on my team. And I said, she's not going to do anything intentional. I said, I only have one dog on my team. And the guy, Eric, that's the official, is from Louisiana. And he knows Dom personally because she's from DeRidder, Louisiana. And he said, oh, I know who your dog is. And I said, yeah, number 2. And we laughed about it. I said, now, if she would have hooked her, that would have been intentional. But Dom wasn't even in that. But I do want to say this about Dom. This back injury has really been a fight, because I'm going to tell you, she would get furious when she'd have to come out of a game. She didn't like it when she couldn't practice. Now, when her pain was so bad, and it's called a foot drop, when her nerves would not allow her foot to lift, then we couldn't practice her. But it was a constant fight to keep her. And I will tell you, most people would have packed it in, But that tells you what kind of competitor she is. And I cannot express enough of gratitude for my heart and our staff of the fight she had and the fight that Femi Funes had of getting injections every week to fight rheumatoid arthritis to compete for this team in our university. And I'm very grateful for both of them.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you.